Supernatural Season 11, Episode 3, The Bad Seed. Definitely a great title for this episode because the focus, or maybe not the whole focus, but definitely the highlight of this episode was without a doubt Amara and us getting to see more about her. But I'm going to get to that because that was my favorite stuff, and I'd rather save that for the end. But the other half of the story was also pretty fun because we got to see Rowena again, and she's trying to form a mega coven because mega is more grand than grand. And no one's liking the name, no one's giving her any support because she killed off the former high priestess of the old Grand Coven, and she's kind of like the nomadic witch who's kind of just doing things and no one really knows 100% what she's doing, but they know it's not what they would have done and they don't like it. So we get these three witches in the beginning. They all get killed off. Poof, they turn into like bloody dust or something. I don't know. I like the effect, but whatever. They all get killed off. And Rowena. And they were in a really weird spot in the beginning. I noticed that at first, like I was watching like half the scene, and then she was talking about the having chops and having the guts thing, about killing Crowley, and I was like, where the heck are they? Because there was like a broken down car behind her, and then there was another one, I'm pretty sure, on the other side of the three women. So I was like, where in the world did they film that? Like, where were they supposed to be in that scene? Because it was just weird. And it was just like super dark. You couldn't see anything really, except for like these abandoned cars just randomly. And then there was like a super long hallway, I think, behind the three women as well. But they don't want to join her in her mega coven, so she kills the three of them off. Then she tries to recruit two more witches, and I thought that was going to be the start of her mega coven because, of course, they were like, "Oh, you have the Book of the Damned. You share some secrets with us. That's great. We'll be more powerful. We can get higher ranks than we ever got when we were with the Grand Coven, and there should be something. It's more than what we have, and we're gonna do that." And then, of course, Crowley, after his demons have found her, they go on the attack. The one which I don't know what the deal was with that, but I really thought I guess she just didn't finish the spell. I guess that's what it had to have been, but I would have thought for sure there would have been a simpler spell because she's like something something, and he still just cut her throat and then stabbed her. I'm like, oh well, that sucks. She's dead now, so there goes that hope of that storyline because that would have been kind of cool. And then one of my favorite scenes with Rowena when she gets the furniture to basically fold up behind her to block her path from the demon. I love that scene because I was laughing so hard when the guy got hit with the table. Because they were literally just throwing stuff at this guy. Like, they threw one table at him, and it had, like, fake glass on it, and so he, like, got hit by glass. But when they threw the big square table, it just hit him, and it was just like, it just came into the screen and just went boom, like, straight on him. And I laughed. I rewound it, and I still laughed exactly the same. I just thought that was so funny. Like, it was meant to be serious. But for some reason, I guess because it just hit him. It was like watching a comedy movie and someone just getting hit by a table. It just flew straight at him. It wasn't like, oh, he knocked it off from the side. He was like this because a table flew like directly at his face. And I just thought that was the funniest thing in the world. I just love that scene because of that. And it was a cool scene in general, but that just made me laugh. I was like, it looks kind of cool, because it's like he's just blocking stuff and things are like flying at him and he's kind of brushing them off like the table that had like glass on it. I thought that was actually really cool because a table hit him from the side and then like the glass broke on his face at the same time. I was like, that's kind of cool how they set that up, and they probably glued the glass to the table so that it would shatter once it actually hit him. I was like, that's pretty cool how they set that up. But when the table flew in, it was just like a big table just flew in. It covered him completely. You couldn't even see him when the square table came in. And I was just like, boom, and he's completely covered. I thought it was really funny. But I still like that scene. That was really cool. Crowley has his goons on her. He's trying to, of course, get his mother. She's trying to, of course, get him because both of them want each other dead. And then we have Sam and Dean trying to help Cass, who is having like a really crazy effect with this mind control spell that was cast on him. And it was interesting in this episode, like him passing out and them talking about how with him not being human, it kind of rooted into him, or that's what it seemed like it was doing. I thought that was a pretty cool concept, and I would love to see them go back to that. And of course, it's like a really ancient spell, so they don't really know anything about it, and that could just be how the spell is in general because it's so powerful. But the same thing with humans. It just kills humans, and so of course Cass is able to survive, and that's why it was kind of like digging into him, because it's almost the same as it digging into a human. It just digs deeper and deeper, and with humans it would kill them, and with Cass it's almost like a virus that makes him go crazy, but also can make him pass out and stuff. And I thought that was actually a really cool way to describe that. And I love the part where he was like, it's really hard to control him, and it's not made any easier by the voices. And then Dean had his hand on him. He's just like, oh. It was like, are these voices telling you to hurt people? It's like, it's angel radio. So I love that line. When he said the perp stuff, and they're looking at him like, who's the perp? Like, he thinks they're trying to figure out like what perp means. And I was like, that was a cool line too. And I'm like, thank you, Cass, thanks. So I like that part. Cass, of course, I don't know. We still don't know how he escaped. Technically, I guess. I mean, he's an angel, and with him having like this crazy rage virus, basically, he just went full, angel mode and just ripped straight through it. And I don't know if he can heal. Like, I know he can't be healed from the virus itself or the spell itself, but I'm assuming he could still be healed in natural cases where he could like heal his body up much faster than obviously any human could. So if he did have to rip through the handcuffs, he'd still just heal up quickly. Like, he'd hurt himself and he'd bleed trying to like rip his hands out of the handcuffs, but I'm sure he still just healed from that, and that's how he escaped. So they have to go on the hunt for him. They have to take Rowena so she can do the spell. Everything works out. Like, Cass is just attacking this random girl, just totally out of nowhere. I love when she first sees him, when he's behind her. I just thought it was funny. He like just knocked her phone out of her hand, and it was really kind of nonchalant. It was just like, get that out of here. And then he started the chase. I just thought that looked funny. But I like that scene, and she's freaking out, and he's in like this crazy mode, and he's choking her, and then he like beats up Dean, who of course always gets beat up. He's always the character that's getting punched when they do like the sort of edit punches, when it's like 10 punches, but they probably only film like 3 or 4. Which is cool. It's always still entertaining, but it is always Dean. And my girlfriend mentioned that, I think, when I was trying to get her to catch up on season 9 before the last season started. She's like, it's always Dean. And it really is. And I kind of like that, because it's just kind of, it's a weird staple, but it is kind of a staple of the series. Like, Dean is always the one that's just getting beat up. Whether it's to save Sam, like with the devil, like during that finale, or just a scene like this, to save anybody, or just in general, Dean gets beat up the most for sure. And it's always punches to the face all the time. So he gets thrown into like, the wood pallets, then he gets beat up. Fortunately, Cass is healed 100%. And then Rowena just, there goes the gun, there goes Sam, and I'm getting the heck out of here. So she took off, and I'm not sure how often she's going to show up in this season, because I noticed when the episode started, she's technically a guest star for this episode. So she's still not like technically a series regular where she'll be in every episode yet. And I'm wondering how much of a role she's going to have this season. Obviously, it's going to be way more than just this one episode. But I'm very curious, like, what she's going to do. I wonder if she is going to get this Mega Coven, because I thought for sure she was going to be a main villain this season after being introduced last time. And then we got the Darkness as the main villain. So maybe next season is Rowena's true turn to be like the full-on villain, and she's just kind of going to be a sub-villain for this season as well, which I'm totally fine with. I would love to see witches versus Winchesters, because we don't really get that. We get our episodes, but I would love to see like a full-on coven of witches as the main villain, because that's a bunch of different villains. They could, maybe not all the witches, of course, but a couple of them could have their own distinct personalities, and we get to learn about their characters. And then obviously Rowena would be at the very top of the food chain. So maybe we'll get that in the next season, because obviously there's a million things happening in this one. They mentioned Metatron, which I thought was cool. So angels are on the hunt for Metatron. They think Metatron is helping Cass, because of course nobody believes Cass. It's just like, they just don't give a crap. Cass is just like the bad guy, and he's working with Metatron. He did, of course, break Metatron out of jail, so that did help. But people weren't exactly liking Cass at that point anyway. Even after the whole Metatron thing, when they revealed that he was actually screwing everybody over, still kind of like, people still have their issues with Cass, so he's in a pretty crappy position still, and at least he's over being spelled, so that's a good thing. We'll get our normal cast back and throughout the rest of the season until Rowena decides to just switch it up on him again. But I enjoyed that. It was nice to see Rowena come back. I love the scene where they first handcuff her and Dean walks around this taxi in freaking full on like vacation gear with the darkest sunglasses I've ever seen in my life. Like I couldn't even remotely see his eyes. I swear those things. I don't think they were had reflections on them. I think they like made sunglasses and put like matte finishes so that you couldn't see the camera in the reflection, or maybe they were just so dark I couldn't even tell. But those are the darkest sunglasses I'd ever seen. He had the little hat on, and he had like the Hawaiian shirt with the flowers and stuff, but he still just had like a jet black t-shirt on underneath. And I was like, still like a little hint of normal Dean, and of course he had the sunglasses, but I just thought that looked so funny to me. Like that is beyond out of the norm. It was kind of weird, and it was just like I love that they did that. They didn't have to, but well, they kind of did just for the sake of them capturing Rowena. But I was like, that just looks so crazy to me because we don't see them dressed like that. So I love that scene, and like I said, those sunglasses. Never seen anything so dark before, but I like that scene. Like I said, love the stuff with Rowena. When that guy got hit by that table, it just makes me laugh every time. And then we have like the other side of this episode, which is my favorite part, and that's Amara. Amara and Crowley in this episode was amazing to me because we had like a little inkling as to what the darkness was. It was hinted like the darkness is like the worst thing ever. It fought against God in the beginning of time, basically, before anything happened. It was God and the angels versus the darkness. Darkness got put away, darkness is released, and it's kind of seeming like, okay, when the darkness is talking with Dean, darkness seems sort of ambiguous, like almost neutral, where it was like kind of doing bad stuff, maybe, but not on purpose. And then this episode changed all of that. This episode was like, no, the darkness is definitely evil. The comparisons to Lilith are definitely still there because it's a young girl, which changes by the end. But I think Lilith was older anyway. I think Lilith was like 12 or 13, played by a 12 or 13-year-old girl, and this little girl throughout this episode seemed younger to me. I'm terrible with ages. I always think kids are like way younger or way older than they are just because they're a certain height, and I'm always way off. So I don't know, but I believe she's younger. And I like this girl. I kind of wish that she stayed on. They kept her for a couple more episodes because I like the way this little girl acted. And obviously it has to do more, with more than just her acting abilities, but it was good. But I just love the way they did it because it showed that the darkness is evil. Amara is not an ambiguous character that may do bad things but doesn't completely understand. Amara knows, and we get to see a very interesting scene when she's looking in the mirror and we see the adult version of the darkness, but it seems like it's almost two personalities because Amara technically exists as Amara because Amara was born of two humans and that's just a totally separate entity. And then we have the darkness which took over Amara's body. So it almost is like two split personalities, but Amara is still obviously controlled by the darkness, but the darkness can still be represented by the adult woman. So I thought that was a pretty interesting scene where it's like Amara is kind of learning from the darkness within, and I thought that was actually a pretty cool scene. And then just throughout, she was really creepy, and I love that because Crowley's trying to get information, and then the scene when he finds out, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to do things better." Because he's like, "Oh, would you have done stuff different?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to." And it's like, okay, her plan is like full on, mass extinction, wipe everything out and start over the way she wants to do it. And I love that. It kind of showed the darkness wants its own thing. It wants to restart stuff. And it's not giving up any answers. Because every time Crowley wants an answer, it's like, oh, how did God exactly lock you up anyway? It's like, I'm hungry. It's like, okay, of course you are. First time that happened, I was like, that's creepy. Just the way she did it. She kind of dodged the question, but it was the first time. It was like, she kind of did, but kind of didn't. She said she didn't want to talk about it, so that was simple enough. It upset her. After that, though, every time was like, I'm hungry. And she just had that angry look in her face, and was like, yeah, this is an issue. This is not going to be good. There is no partnership about to happen here. Like, Crowley is feeding this girl all these souls. She grows up, and I was kind of right about guessing how many souls she needs. Like, she needs more souls as she grows. So that made perfect sense, and who knows how many she actually had in this episode. She ate the nanny, she ate the other nanny at the end of the episode. I'm assuming he fed her a bunch in between those two. And even before that, before she actually got the nanny, which is a kind of messed up scene because I knew that was going to happen. And so she has all this amazing looking candy. I was like, God, I kind of wished I was there. And then she turns and she like she wants to hug the woman, and I was like, this isn't about to be good. And she's just looking at her, and the woman kind of realized what was about to happen, and that was it. She got killed, and Crowley saw his first kill. Like, oh crap, she's eating the woman who is taking care of her, and giving her all these random pictures of tornadoes and volcanoes and stuff, and Hitler speeches. I thought that was crazy when they mentioned that. I was like, I'm giving her Hitler's speeches and stuff. Like, we had them translated, and she gave her Dante's Inferno, which is a great story. I've only known it through the games and the movie, but great story. Definitely a cool story. All about hell and just madness and insanity. All the nine circles and all that good stuff. So very appropriate for the darkness to read that one in the original Latin, of course. But I loved how that played out in this episode, because she started off very simple, still had that sort of bit of ambiguity, probably evil, probably just did bad stuff and didn't realize it 100%. Maybe liked the bad stuff, but didn't fully, once again, understand that it was really, really bad. And then this episode is just like, as it continues, it's just, no, I want to eat these souls. I'm hungry. Give me more souls. I'm going to basically block every important question you have with I'm hungry, and give you an angry look. And at the end, it was full on, she gave, the full retort, I said I'm hungry. So whenever someone does that, it's like, well, now they don't give a crap. They want what they want, and they kind of, in a sense, they're kind of standing up to you, saying, screw you, I said this, and this is what I want. So I'm not worried for Crowley, because it's Crowley. They're not going to kill Crowley, but things aren't going to be great for him. I don't know if he's going to have to leave hell, or however they're going to do this craziness, because he's going to have to kick her out. But of course, it's not going to be super simple, get the heck out of here, because she absorbs souls. It's not like she does something where people just go away or whatever. She takes the souls from within the bodies. And if it's a living human, it can be like what happened in the last episode, where it's still that person, and it's just them without a soul, and they're totally amoral, which generally leads to them being immoral, because it's like, well, I just want to do whatever I want to do. But in the case of demons and angels, I guess it really depends on the angels, because it could be that they're sharing the body or something like that. I don't know. But when it comes to demons, for sure, if she absorbs the soul, poof, there goes the dead body, which apparently gets served in hell as food, which I thought was interesting. But it's going to be weird for Crowley. I definitely loved it, though. I thought it was amazing. So I'm looking forward to how they advance this character. And also, the girl at the end was super freaking tall. It was one scene, maybe it was how it was shot, but she looked so tall to me. I was like, holy crap, this girl is just skinny and super tall. And that just stood out. As soon as I saw her, I was like, she is really tall. I'm pretty sure she's taller than Crowley. So that just caught my attention. She just looked really tall to me. But I love this episode. The other really, really great scene that has literally zero explanation whatsoever is that Angel and the demon at the bar. I love that scene, even though it had like nothing to do. It didn't tie in whatsoever. I have no idea why they showed us that, but I'm assuming it's gonna come into play. Maybe they become important and they're gonna try to fight back or do something. I honestly don't know, but it starts off. I thought it was gonna be the detectives on the case or something like that. I thought the first guy who walked into the bar was the detective initially, and that's who Sam and Dean were gonna end up meeting. And then there's another guy at the bar, and he has the black eyes. So I'm like, okay, he's a demon. This other guy's eyes are gonna go black, and he's gonna be another demon. But then he drops the angel blade out, which I still don't know. Like, even that made no sense really, because obviously they talk with each other a bunch. And so he has the angel blade come out. Obviously, he put that back. The other guy sat back down at the bar, and then they just start, just chatting it up. Like, how are things upstairs? It's business as usual. How about downstairs? They aren't doing anything. Alarms going off all over the place. How come nobody's doing anything? The whole scene was just them complaining about being low on the totem pole, and I was like, honestly, when I was watching, I was like, I could watch an entire series of this, and it was almost 100% useless. Like, they needed it for the time that they had. Like, they didn't have enough deleted scenes. They just were like, screw it, and just put the stuff in there. But I still loved that scene. Made no sense. Had nothing to do with it. It might be foreshadowing, because they were talking about, the little guy standing up and actually doing something against, the natural order of things. So maybe they will. They might randomly become important guys, but for now, that was an absolutely pointless scene, but was still a really great scene to me. I was like, this is really funny. Hearing an angel and demon chat it up, which I'm sure we've had. I know we've had to have had it the 11th season, but I don't ever remember us having a scene like that where they just meet. They're just like low on the totem pole. We've had like main characters, like, oh, here's like one of the main angels talking with probably Crowley at some point. Just somebody's talking to Crowley. But this was just like two guys just at the bar, like, tough day at work. What's happening? I don't really know. Alarms going off all over the place. Something's happening, but it seems like nobody cares. Power to the people. And then they just drink. And I just love that scene. It had no use to this episode, but I'm hoping that it does come into play and it actually means something later. But for now, it was seriously just like, what was that scene for? It was totally just in there. But I did enjoy the scene. It was just different and really funny to me. And I like that, even though it was totally weird and random. But great episode. Loved Amara for sure. That was the highlight for me. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And with Amara just having a nice chunk of this episode, I want to know what you guys think about where her character is and where she's going now. Because like I said, we got the answer to the whole ambiguity thing. She's just evil. Like, she's smart and evil too, because she knew what she was doing, dodging Crowley's questions and stuff like that. And now she's getting stronger. She's getting she got more and more uppity throughout the episode. It was like, it started off real simple, and then it was like, I want this, I want this. I said I want this. So she's got the gusto. She knows what she's doing, and I'm looking forward to it. Also, something I didn't mention, there was really no point to mention this until like the very end, but this is the one day where I could not watch Supernatural, because yesterday, or it's technically the day before yesterday now, because it's like 3, was Back to the Future Day. So this episode came out on the 21st, and I was like, I would love to watch it because I love Supernatural, but there was nothing on that day outside of going to school, which I really hated, that didn't relate to Back to the Future somehow. So that whole day, like, although I'm oddly still on time because I'm always late doing my reviews anyway, that was like the worst time. I was like, crap, there's no way I'm watching this today. Like, Arrow and Supernatural are just going to have to wait because it's all Back to the Future. So it was interesting actually getting to see this episode. I wish I could have seen it earlier because it was a really fun one. And I do wish, because if any show would do it, it's definitely Supernatural. I wish there was some reference to Back to the Future in this episode, because that's totally the show to do it. They've done it before. They did it in the the Mystery Spot episode, they play the Back to the Future song Back in Time by Huey Lewis and the News. And that's the song that plays at the very end when Sam finally wakes up and the trickster stops the loop. That's the song that plays is Back in Time. So just wanted to throw that out there. Like, still totally on time for me because I'm always late, but that's definitely why I couldn't do this episode when it came out. It's like I just have to see Back to the Future today, and that's what I did. I was at the movies watching Back to the Future Part 2, and it was fun. But thanks for watching this. Of course, like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below, let me know, and like I said, thanks for watching.